I'm Lloyd Holiday, and this is the Cost of a Thing podcast. Thanks for listening in today. So what happened to that great standard of living that we used to enjoy here in America in the 1960s and even into the 1970s? Well, that's what the Cost of a Thing podcast is all about, and that's what I'm going to be talking about here. Okay, I'm going to be talking about some of the things that can help a person have a great standard of living. And I'm going to do a list of my top 10 things that will help make a great standard of living for people in the next coming few weeks or months. But today I'm going to talk about one of them, and it's probably not the most important one of them, but one of the things that you can do to have a great standard of living is have an efficient use of your time. And in other words, minimize time wasting. And I'm going to use the Super Bowl as an example of how time is wasted in this country, since it just played out last weekend. First of all, I'm not a big fan of professional sports. I know a lot of people are, but I am not. I see it as a big waste of time. I can go down a list of things. I'll say a few of them here. I just don't think it matters who wins. I don't think it's that fantastic. The running, the jumping, the running with the ball, the throwing a ball. I don't think those are really that great of skills. I just think they are really outside the game. They're pretty much worthless in life. You can't really earn a living with those skills at anything else other than these ridiculous games. And I can't think of one thing that is less important, that means less than who wins these games. So let's take a look at how much time was wasted just on this one game this weekend, okay? I looked it up here, and these are going to just be estimates, and I'm not going to write the formulas out on here how I figured this out, but I will tell you how I figured it out. And it's not very hard. You don't have to be a mathematician or anything. Okay, they say 100 million people watch this game this weekend on TV, mostly. Okay, so 100 million, and I figure they averaged out to about 2 hours because the game probably went 3 hours. So about 2 hours times 100 million, 200 million. That equals 200 million, right? So 200 million man hours was spent watching this game. Now, if you take the average number of hours a human being lives, your whole life from birth to death, if you live about 80 years, you're going to live about 700,000 hours. Okay? So now what you do is you take the 200 million hours that was spent on this game, and you divide that by the 700,000 hours that each life contains if you live an average lifespan. Okay, that comes out to about 300 lives. So about 300 human lives was expended on that game last weekend, the Super Bowl. 300 lifespans. So essentially that game consumed 300 people's lives during that game. Yes, 300 human lifetimes of time went into watching that game this weekend. And myself, I don't think they gained anything by watching that game. Nothing was accomplished. Nobody's lives were better after it. In fact, a lot of people probably had headaches from drinking too much. Nothing was improved the way I look at it. And, what could you do with 200 million man hours other than watch that game? Okay, here's one thing I'm going to bring up. Now, I happen to know how long it takes to build an average house. I built some of them. I built a few houses myself with my own hands. So, it takes about 2,000 man hours of pretty hard work to build an average 1,200 square foot approximately house, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath with a 2-car garage, with air conditioning and heating and all the rest of it. A fully functioning home, a modern day home. It takes about 2,000 hours to build that home. That's about 1 year of a man's life or a woman's life, a working life. That's about how many hours a person works at a job each year, a full-time job. So to build a house takes about 1 full year. It would be your full-time job for that year, and at the end of the year, you'd have that house built. 2,000 hours, 2,000 man hours. Okay, so now you take the time that was spent watching this game. 200 million man hours was spent watching that game. So you divide that by 2,000. What that gives you is 100,000. 100,000 houses could have been built by the time that was put into that watching that game. So that's what could have been done. 100,000 houses could have been built with that 200 million man hours. Do we need more houses? I think we do. We don't have enough houses. There's people living on the streets. Rents are very high. Houses are very expensive. There's extreme bubbles in house prices. You can listen to my housing ripoff podcasts that I did in my top 10 super ripoff list. And of course, one reason why rents and housing cost so much, the price of houses and the price of rents in most areas, or in a lot of areas, is because there's a shortage of houses there. There's just not a good supply of houses there. So do we need more houses? Yes, we do. And do we have enough football games? We've got plenty of football games, more than we coming out of our ears. There's a game on every channel, just about every day of the week. You got football games. Nobody can watch all the football games. There's just too many. Other things. Do we have enough cell phones? Yes, we have plenty of cell phones. We have so many cell phones, we're throwing them in the trash and getting new cell phones every couple of years. Coffee stores. We got 1 million coffee stores. We got more coffee stores, cups of coffee. Everybody's got a cup of coffee. They're pouring them down the drain. There's so many cups of coffee out there. We got so many cups of coffee, we don't know what to do with them all. So many different flavors, and you see all these fast food joints. There's so many of those out there. They're just, like I say, they're coming out of our ears. The only thing we don't have enough of is houses. Or you see a lot of run-down houses. Maybe some of these 200 million man-hours could be used fixing up people's houses a little bit. Make things a little nicer in the world. So I, for one, am disappointed at the misallocation of our energy and our time. And that's one reason we don't have a better standard of living in the world. So a lot of time is wasted on things that don't produce anything positive. Pro football is one of them. The other sports I'm not a big fan of either. Golf, I don't know how they can stand there and watch these guys hit a ball around into a hole. It's always about a ball in a hole, I just can't believe it. I mean, when I was a kid, I kind of fell for it. I kind of got into it a little bit back then, when there was the baseball and the basketball, they had the Lakers and, but as I got older, I realized it's just not important and it's kind of silly. And my dad used to say, he'd come in, my brother and I'd be watching the Laker game or something back in probably this would be in the, 1970, and, Will Chamberlain and Jerry West were on the Lakers and they were winning all the championships and stuff. And we're sitting there on the couch watching. My dad comes in. He says, "Look at those big dummies running up and down the court." He says, "What a waste of time." He was right. Dad was right. And my brother and I just kind of looked at him. And it's like he was crazy. He didn't understand how great they were. He did understand. See, he was about my age, or maybe a little younger than I am now. But he saw it, and he knew what a foolish waste of time it was to sit there and watch those, as he put it, those big dummies running up and down the court. That's what Dad said. And he was right. He was right about that, and he was right about just about everything he ever told us. As you may find out about your dad, or if you haven't already found it out, you probably find out he was right about most things too. Now, I'm going to kind of take this into the standard of living thing. If you want to have a great standard of living, you can't waste a lot of time. You don't want to be wasting your time. And you want to do things as efficiently as you can. Now, I'm not saying you can't watch a little bit of entertainment once in a while, or do some entertainment, or go on a vacation. I do that myself. But you don't want to waste too much time. And a lot of people get really obsessed with these things, and they want to watch every game, and they want to go down to the casinos, and there's so many things you can do to waste your time in this world. And you want to put your effort into something that's going to make your life better a little bit each day, and try to do something that's going to make your life a little better. And it adds up. It will add up over the years, and you will have a great standard of living, or certainly a much better one than you would have had otherwise if you do that. Oh, you see these homeless guys, like 65, 70-year-old guys, or 45, 50. Well, they look like they're 75 because a lot of them are drinkers and druggies and so forth. You see these guys on the streets, and they're really ragged looking. They got nothing. They got nothing. And I think to myself, how could they have nothing after living 50, 60, 70 years on this earth, and they have absolutely nothing? Well, one of the big reasons, they wasted a lot of time. At this particular juncture, it looks like they wasted all their time. Thank you for listening in today. And until next time, this is Lloyd Holiday signing off.